There are certain things you have to cover in each lesson.
The most important thing about every lesson is, well, where's your homework? I didn't do it. Okay, well, you know what happens when you don't do your homework. I'd like to say you don't have one, but every teacher does have a favorite student. We all do. It's just how it is.
Hello, everyone. Today, I'm super excited to have our own Eureka alumni, Georgia, with us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Georgia. I've been teaching in Hong Kong now for about 7 years, and before that, I was teaching in Shenzhen in China. In Hong Kong, I have been working in kindergartens, high schools, and primary schools. I'm currently in EDB NET in a primary school.
Thanks so much for coming to join us, Georgia.
No problem.
So what would you say is your favorite tip for teachers?
Well, I think one of the things for all teachers is definitely classroom management. It's very difficult. I mean, usually in Hong Kong, you will have a co-teacher with you, which can be very good for most situations. But as the main teacher in the classroom, you want the attention on you. So as an English teacher, you need to remove any barriers in the classroom that will give the kids any excuse not to listen to you. So the first step I like is always walking around the classroom. Never sit down behind a desk. Never sit on a chair. Get up, walk around. If you're walking around, you can also make sure that they understand what's going on. You can see what they're doing at their tables. As long as they are following you and you can see that they've kept up with you, you know that they understand the lesson.
That's really true. I used to teach in college in China, and these days kids love their phone.
Yeah.
And if you walk around, they can't do something underneath their desk, even if it's like reading a book or like using their phone. So that's really true. I really like that tip.
And many schools in Hong Kong have iPads as well. So some of the kids sitting in the back of the classroom, they might be a little bit sneaky and have their iPads out. So as long as you're walking around, you can see it.
That's good. So if you see them with their iPad, what would you do?
I usually, at first, I don't call out kids in the classroom, but I will go around and I might knock on their table a little bit, just so that they know I can see them.
Oh, I like that, because then you're not embarrassing them, but then you're like, hey, I do see you, but I'm still giving you face.
Exactly,
I like that. Well, do you change your classroom management tip for kindergarten versus primary school?
Kindergarten kids, their attention span, as we know as teachers, is just a little bit shorter. So it is good to have the kinesthetic classroom. Get up, movement, walking around, more speaking.
So you have them change activities more and just get their energy out more.
Most kindergarten lessons, maybe 20, 25 minutes in local kindergartens. So you're looking at maybe cutting up your lesson into different segments. Every kindergarten's a little bit different, but usually about 10 minutes of each activity is more than enough.
Do you have a special call and response for kindergarten?
Every school is a little bit different. My primary school, we do that one, and all the kids copy and they clap back.
So you basically whatever the local school decides, and then everyone does the same thing in the school, right?
As long as it's consistent between all the classrooms, the kids know exactly what's going on.
So what do you do? How do you collaborate with your co-teacher? Do you guys have talks before class, after class, or how's the cooperation like?
I'm sure every school, again, is just a little bit different. At my school, we have a lot of, I suppose, co-collaboration. We have a lot of meetings in between our lessons as well, where I will sit down with my co-teacher and I suppose, maybe the whole English team, depending on what you're teaching. And we will go through what's happening for the next couple of weeks coming up. It's always good to look ahead a couple of weeks so you know where you're going. And you can sit down, discuss problems. This happened in my lesson today, or we didn't get to cover this. So you can manage your time and manage the curriculum as well.
What does your co-teacher do when you're teaching in class?
Usually there's a few children in the class that I will assign my co-teacher to. Some classes will have quite a level of different variation of student abilities in the classroom. So you can, when you're doing collaborative lessons, you can split your students up into different groups as to their levels. And you can get your co-teacher to help you with certain groups so that you're not walking around between them all the time.
Nice. How did you get into the EDB NET Scheme? I know when we interview teachers at Eureka, they're always asking us that because, that's every teacher's dream in Hong Kong.
I started off with Eureka when I first came to Hong Kong, and I worked in a kindergarten. And while I love teaching kindergarten, I realized for me, I liked the slightly older kids, the kids that could you could really work with and they kind of talk back a little bit, which I quite enjoy during lessons. And so when I got into my primary school, I thought, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to teach primary school. So the EDB NET Scheme, they do their intake every year for a couple of months, usually December, January, when they do their interviews. So to get in, what they're really looking for is someone who's been in Hong Kong and understands Hong Kong. I know that they do interview people from overseas and new Hong Kongers, I suppose. The two main things that they're kind of looking for is one, understanding the school curriculums and how you teach in Hong Kong, and two, understanding relationships with the local teachers and how to work with other staff at the school. In Hong Kong, you do need to work very closely with your co-teachers and also the management staff at the school. And they really want someone who understands the school politics in Hong Kong, which does mean you need to come and work in Hong Kong for a while and see it for yourself.
So yeah, that's what we tell our teachers a lot during interviews. Like Eureka can help you with about 2 years, 3 years just to get your local teaching experience so you understand the system and then go on to the EDB NET Scheme. And I'm really curious about what you said about the local system and working closely with partner teachers, because I do think that's something our new teachers struggle with sometimes too, which is they don't know the role of the partner teacher or how to communicate. Sometimes the schools call us and they say, the teacher, we told them to do this, but they didn't. But whereas I think our teachers think it's more of a suggestion because it's more very indirect and politely put, like maybe you could do this in the class. Like, do you have any tips about that in terms of like maybe culturally how the school talks and relates to net teachers?
I would always say, first thing, if you're a new teacher to a school, everyone at the school knows the kids and they know everything more than you. So for the first few months, listen to what your co-teacher is telling you. Observe the classes. Is another teacher having a better class than you? Are they getting through the curriculum and the work faster? Why is that? So it's really good to understand what your school is, I suppose, focused on as well. But your co-teacher is your biggest help when you first get to a school. In my school, I have about 5 or 6 different co-teachers for different year levels, different classes, and they all have different ideas, hints, tips. They've taught at other schools. They know how to teach at other schools. They know little things that might help you in your classroom. And the important thing is just listen and they will help you.
I love that tip. Yeah, because as young green teachers, you learn so much from observing and talking to more experienced teachers. And there's so much to glean from everyone if you're willing.
There is always a time when, as an English teacher, you do need to have a presence in the classroom, and it's very important to have. So your personality can come out, but for the first few months, I would really just observe, see what's happening in the classroom. Your personality is very important and it will hold the attention of the students in the classroom, but listen to your co-teacher. They know what they're doing.
Okay, so what do you mean when you say observe? Because like you said, I know like you're the main teacher in the classroom and presence is very important. So how do you observe as well as bring your presence in the first few months?
Very good question. So you'll notice when your co-teacher steps in, if they think the class is getting too loud, they will step in. They will show you methods of controlling the classroom. Maybe if you're talking too much, they might also step in and say, maybe it's time, some of the students in the back maybe have lost their focus, lost their attention. It's time for you to move on to the next step. So you can even ask your co-teacher to help you with this. We need to spend 10 minutes on this task. Can you please just, remind me to make sure I don't go over that time limit? You can work with your co-teacher and it will make your lessons go smoother.
I love that too, because I do think sometimes our teachers struggle with that because they don't know if they're more like a teaching assistant or if they're the main teacher and how much control to take over. Like I think some of our teachers sometimes let the co-teachers take over too much and they're very passive, whereas other times they're not sure of the role. But like to be able to learn, and it's like having a free mentor in the class with you for a full year.
As the main English teacher in the classroom, your presence should be number one. The kids are there to learn from you. If you have a few different English teachers in your school, you can listen to many different accents as well. So it's very good for the kids to listen, even if their speaking skills and their writing skills aren't that good yet, I suppose, they can still listen. And usually with my co-teachers, I have a lot of conversations in the classroom. I'll ask them, oh, look at this on the board. What do you think of this? And they'll go, and they'll give me an answer. So questions, answers, you can use your co-teacher. They can also use you. It's quite a good, I suppose, symbiotic relationship in the classroom. You want the kids to see that you are talking, you're having a conversation. It's simple, it's straightforward. You can give them confidence by showing that you are doing it with your co-teacher. So there's many ways you and your co-teacher can improve a lesson a lot just by working together.
I really like that tip because I think sometimes the teacher just takes over the whole class, but being like, you can actually interact with your partner teacher and
Exactly.
you have like different levels of modeling the language together that way. And then it also shows you're both equals and you're leading the class together. I love that. Thanks so much for that tip.
Your co-teacher isn't here to run your lesson for you. If you're not running your own lesson, I would worry that you haven't looked at the lesson plan, you haven't looked at the curriculum. So as the main teacher in the classroom, you should know exactly what's going on and what you need to achieve.
Yeah, speaking of that, like, does the school usually give you a scheme of work and then you do your own lesson planning?
Yes, usually schools will have all the templates already set out for you. They'll give you the main curriculum for the whole school year, and they'll also show you even previous year's lesson plans. A lot of schools will ask you to do your own lesson plans, which is fine. There's a lot of examples online. The school will have them from the previous years. Never worried about lesson plans. The important thing is when you look at a lesson plan, is it your style of teaching? Maybe it's not your style of teaching. So maybe you might want to have a look at lesson plans and say, actually, instead of this question and answer bit, maybe something more group work, collaborative learning instead. So you might think maybe your strengths are not in conversation. Maybe the abilities of the class aren't up there yet. Maybe they're more confident talking to their friends. So you can then adjust lesson plans.
Do you have any tips about how to adjust a lesson plan? Because I think that is really important because sometimes the lesson plan's passed on to you is a different style or it's very vague. It might not fit your class. And so when you look through a lesson plan, like what are the main things you're looking for to tailor it for your class?
For me, it's very student specific. Every class is different and you will get to know your classes the best. So once again, for the first couple of months with a brand new class, observe, see how your lessons are going. If you think that they're losing focus, they're not learning anything, their test scores aren't very good, okay, so what I'm doing isn't working. Then you can sit down with your co-teacher and say, let's maybe try this instead. Let's try this. Maybe something more interactive, online learning. So you can see if it's working or not. If it's not working, don't keep doing it. You can use your co-teacher, they can tell you their experiences and you can change it.
Do you have any tips in terms of like, what are the main things you have to have in a lesson plan for all teachers? Or is there certain things you have to cover in each lesson?
The most important thing about every lesson is the objectives. If you walk straight in and start teaching, the students have no idea what you're doing.
Right.
Because you might only see them maybe twice a week, maybe once a week, some schools. If you just walk in and just start talking, you've lost them already because they don't know what you're doing today. They don't know where the lesson's going. They don't know what's supposed to be on their tables. So the important thing is always at the start of my lessons, I will even on the board write out a couple of dot points, maybe 1, 2, 3. We're going to review this vocabulary. We're going to go through this book together and then we're going to talk about it. So they know exactly what they need to achieve in the lesson and then they're more focused. Okay, we're doing this bit now. We're up to here. We missed that bit. We were too focused on this bit. That's okay. We can do it next time.
That's good. Yeah, because it's like setting a goal, both for you and your lesson plans, as well as for the students. So you're aiming at the goal together.
And it makes the students more confident because they know what's coming.
Yeah, that's true. They know what to learn.
Yes.
Like what? Yeah, I like that. And I think you also mentioned something that made me think about the word learning journey because it's about like taking your students in each class through a learning journey and not just going in and starting to talk. It's like you're taking them somewhere to a goal and you want them to experience it, to know where you're going and go through the whole process in an adventure.
And also with all of your lessons, you might think that the students have a very low ability of English, that they're not picking anything up. But if you stick with it week after week after week, use the same directions, the same English, 1 or 2 will get it the first week. The next week, you'll get maybe 10 students that will understand it. And the week after, you'll have the whole class.
Yeah.
So you don't give up.
Yeah, it's true. Because the routine helps them and then the review,
Yes.
it gives them the confidence because they'll slowly all catch up.
And they learn from their friends. Okay, please take out your iPads. What's that? But they'll see their friend taking out their iPad. Oh, take out your iPads, take them out.
Yeah, that's so true. Because if students have very levels
Yes.
and then they can mimic from each other. And so if you keep a certain specific routine, then they kind of know and then they can like follow along. So they're less scared when
It's all about giving them confidence. They don't want to fear or be afraid of English lessons. Learning a second language, any language, is difficult. So as long as you can make it smoother, easier, I suppose just give them confidence throughout the whole lesson. It just makes it so better.
How do you give them confidence?
Usually, I don't really I'm not mean or anything in the lessons, but I am firm. I'm very firm. And I expect them to be listening to me because I'm teaching them. So I don't let them get away with secretly looking at their iPads under the table and, sitting at the back of the classroom doing whatever they want. No, I will walk around and I'll make sure everyone's involved. And the other important thing is using their names. Make sure you use their names.
Okay.
As long as you have the power of knowing their names, you can talk to them, use their names all the time, and then they are involved in the lesson.
Because you're calling them, so they pay attention when they hear their names. Do you have a tip? Because Hong Kong classes are pretty large in class size. And if you teach many classes, how do you learn all their names?
Oh, that's one of the things when you're a new teacher in the school. I pretty much teach every class in my school. So
how many students do you have?
1,000 students.
Oh my goodness.
And of course, a lot of them have very similar names. Sometimes some students will have English names, sometimes they don't. So learning all the names, you'll of course learn the troublemakers first, and then the students that answer all the questions next, and then there's the students in the middle, you take a while to learn.
Yeah.
But the important thing is I just use their names all the time, even for generally no reason whatsoever. I'll go around and I'll, how's it going, Kate? Is that okay, Sam? What do you think? And I'll just use their names, just keep using them in the corridors, around the school, in the morning, in the afternoon, ECAs, extracurricular activities. Just use their names all the time.
That's good. I remember being a student, and if my teacher remembered my name, I liked them more because it's I'm special. They know me personally. Yeah.
We even have students that have graduated from primary 6 and they come back, after a few years in the high school and they go, Miss Georgie, do you remember me? And I'm like, yes, I remember you.
Wow. How many names are in your brain now?
I know, so many. And of course they grow up so quickly. So.
Do you forget names? Because I remember when I taught in China, first year, 1,000 students, and I remembered all their names really well. And then after 10 years of teaching, there are names I forget, and I know their faces, but I don't remember them. And I'm like, hi.
My issue is the spelling sometimes, because the names are spelled like they're English names, but the spelling's a little bit different as to how I would spell them. So sometimes I'll write their names, but I spell them incorrectly. So.
I gotcha. Yeah. Do you use seating charts? Because that's something that really helped me in my classrooms. And so if I have a seating chart and then I could just glance down if I forgot their name, and then that helped me identify the students. And then if they changed groups, then I changed their seating charts. Do you do that in your class?
This is where I work with the co-teacher for this one, because usually the homeroom teachers, they know the students the best out of every teacher in the whole school. And they usually will start the year with a seating chart. But if you find that you have a student that doesn't listen and they're at the back of the classroom, you can ask your co-teacher, maybe for our lessons, let's move them to a different table, let's move them to the front.
Yeah.
So seating charts are good, but usually what I will do is throughout the year is move students around as well, because different seats in the classroom have different views of you, different views of the board. If you're a quiet teacher, maybe the students in the back of the classroom, they're only getting every other word. I'm not a quiet teacher, so very happy to raise my voice in lessons. But it is important to move the students around. Yeah,
that is so true. I remember reading a research before that said students who sit in the front naturally get better grades, and there's exposure bias because you see them more, you call on them more, and they learn better. And so I always also move my last 2 rows up to the front every few weeks so that they all get a chance to.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And also moving around the classroom, so you're not always calling on the same students.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like sometimes teachers actually have a habit of looking one way more than another.
Yeah,
and you're just not aware because you think you're looking at the whole class, but you're always looking or calling on specific students almost unconsciously.
You'd like to say you don't have one, but every teacher does have a favorite student. We all do. It's just how it is.
Yep.
But it is very important as a teacher to be very neutral and make sure you get everyone the same amount of time.
It's true. It's true. I don't know if you do this, but I used to put a mark when I call on a student just so I can see who I haven't called on yet, because some people would just volunteer all the time and then I have to be okay, who else has not participated in this class yet? And it helps me keep track when I teach 30 some kids. How do you do it?
For the lower grades, primary 1 and primary 2, what I do is in their groups, in their table groups, we work on a point system. So on the board I have 4 table groups, and then every table has to answer the questions, but each student at the table has to answer a question individually. So the students have to help each other in that group help their friends with the answers so that they can get the points.
I love that. How do you tell which student has answered within the group? Like, do they also have like numbers within the group, or is it just everyone has to answer once within that class?
Usually, I know some schools have numbers. They will literally stick numbers on the tables if you want students from 1 to 4. I feel like for me, I would rather learn their names instead of just student 3, student 2. I know a lot of schools do that, which is fine. You may have a school with 3,000 students and it's just not possible to learn everyone's names. But I really do believe learn their names. I know that's difficult, but it's better than going, okay, student 2, please answer the question. Instead, you can go, Kiki, please stand up, please answer the question.
So you keep track of every student within the group whose turn it is to answer.
Usually you know the quiet ones in the group and the loud ones in the group, but I don't mind if the friends help each other. I'm a big fan of students helping their friends.
Right. Yeah, I love the group work.
Yes.
Plus the competition too, because I think kids just love that.
And then at the end, usually maybe a reward, stickers, little toys. Taobao is very good for those things.
That is very true. Yeah. Do you have any other tips you want to add in terms of what you do in classroom management?
Oh, I've seen so many teachers with different forms of classroom management. And once again, I do stress focus on your co-teacher as well. If you're a new teacher in Hong Kong, see how they manage the classroom. There's many different types of teachers in Hong Kong. You'll get the ones that just talk but don't interact. No classroom management. You'll get the ones that are very raising their voice all the time, and sometimes then the students are too afraid to talk back and ask questions, which I don't want in my classes. So you need to find a happy medium where you are strict and the students know what they're doing, but they're also happy to interact with you. My classes, a lot of them go from 0 speaking to you walk into the classroom, Miss Georgia, okay. So I absolutely love it. I love walking around the school, and I love it when the kids try to talk to me. They like you enough. They like your personality. They see you as someone safe to talk to because you give them confidence, and then they want to talk to you, which means their English level just improves amazingly.
For sure. How do you get students to like you that much? I mean, you're a very likable person, but besides like calling their names all the time, like what else do you do that lets them approach you?
Here's the thing. Whenever I get a brand new classroom, I'm never that nice to them at first, because you do have to teach them the structure of the lessons and the rules in your classroom. Yes, you can talk, but you can talk under these circumstances. And then as the year progresses and I get to know the students more, and they get to know me, then I let up on the rules a little bit, and then the lessons are more interactive. But at first, don't be so nice to them. I know every teacher wants to be a friend, and we do like being friendly, and it is important to be friendly as English teachers, but you don't want to be their best friend forever. You need to have that level of, I am still your teacher. Yes, we're friendly.
Yeah, I think that's really true, because I've met teachers who are too nice. They have no rules because they really want their class to like them. But then setting up those structures and expectations gives them a safe environment to learn, and then they will like you because of that.
For instance, like,
what rules do you have in your classroom?
Ooh, that's a good question.
One of the hardest things is collecting homework. So some students, I know that the students are very busy. They have a lot of ECAs and they go to centres and sport and everything after school, and they'll go, oh, I didn't do it. Well, where's your homework? I didn't do it. Okay, well, you know what happens when you don't do your homework. You can sit with me at recess and we can do it together. I'll wait for you to finish your homework. No problem. So they know that with me, if they don't do their homework, they will be either losing their recess or a part of their lunchtime to do their homework. But they also know it's fair. It's very fair. And the other students don't complain because it's fair. And the important thing is being fair with everyone equally in the classroom.
I love that, because you still had a smile on your face, but I could always feel like as a student, I'd be like, I did something wrong. So I like that.
And I don't want them to not like doing their homework. But also if they're struggling with something, you want to come at recess and we can do it, do this part of the homework together, also fine. So they know that they can approach you, they know that there's confidence there, and they will come to you if they don't understand something, which is very important.
Would you have a student who just wants to spend more time with you and so like they don't do their homework? Just to, like you have individual attention?
Yes, it happens. You'll always get one or two students that maybe they don't like their tutor. Maybe they just want to spend more time with you, which is absolutely fine. I mean, it improves their English level, so I'm fine with that.